recited because the pastor said recite after me. Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Yes. On the wedding day itself, oh, I know your phone. So you never paid attention to the words of the vows. But I believe that after marriage, maybe a year or two, you can take time again, then you renew your vow to the partners. This time you'll be more conscious of what you said on that day, and it will begin to make a meaning. Because if you ask a lot of people to say what they said on that wedding day, I'm sure most of us, we have even forgotten what we said on that day, because we're so much in a hurry to carry home and go and to go and that is to go and
have communion,
finish what. Yes, so we are so, but when you take time and then we go over it again, then you renew the vows, then you say, wow, is that what I said to my wife on that day? I think will be better than the contract itself.
Okay.
Because if people go by the contract, that they want to renew the contract, what if one person decide that, okay, I have tasted this more, I don't like the contract again?
Mercy.
Then what happens? So I would tend to rather go for a renewal of the vows rather than a renewal of the marriage contract itself.
All right. Thank you very much, Pastor Eric Elike Yaugaze is online, our resource person. He's going to open his camera and then he's going to start right away. Pastor Elike, he's a pastor, he's a minister of the gospel, and he's married to a very beautiful woman. I know the wife very well, and by God's grace, he's still in the institution. So meaning that he's also going through what we are going, and he's here to help us to learn how we can decipher or discern on non-verbal communication in marriage. Pastor Elike is very, very experienced and is here to help us. Please, you can speak any language when it comes to questioning. Pastor Elike will also do well to mix the languages for us so that all can understand. So that you can have variety of everything. So, Pastor, with all due respect, we are here online listening to you. God bless you and welcome.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Niso. I can say that he's also one of the very experienced. Maybe this time it is our turn. The next time he will be on the seat. And then we'll also be gathering all the the experience he has also had. Because I believe you me, if this man begins to download, I'm wondering why he has not written a book yet. Including Reverend Claude Mann. But I think that you have so much in-depth knowledge, and we thank you for this platform as well. One of the things that the churches have failed to do is this aspect of the marriage, because they assume that once you get into the institution, you figure out things by yourself. So nobody calls to even ask how the marriage is doing. But I believe that the church needs to take this aspect very seriously, that a lot of believers are going through certain challenges in their marriage, which could be resolved when ideas are shared on such a platform like this. So thank you for the platform, and thank you for all the wonderful people that are also listening. I mean, it's a privilege. It's a privilege for us to share the little knowledge that we have as well with you. And I know there are wonderful people out there as well.
Pastor Gaze,
So today,
people want to see
yes,
your face. So they said they want to see your face.
it's not coming. My face is not showing.
I think your camera is off.
Hello, my face is not showing.
Yes, please.
My camera is off.
Yes, please. So just tap on it and then the camera. Yes. Oh no, yeah, very good. Yeah, yeah, lovely.
Okay, okay. Oh, okay. All right. So thank you for the platform and thank you for the opportunity. It's a platform for us to share ideas and to grow in this ministry. One of the things that I find very amazing is that last time when I checked from the Registrar General, the number of Christian marriages, I was really interested in Christian marriage that are going through divorce. And I was a bit challenged. I asked why? Why that should be happening to rather believers and not the other way around, beside the fact that the devil does not want this institution out there misbehaving, boyfriend, girlfriend. You don't hear some of these challenges. Immediately they marry, all the ugly problems start rising up. So I was really interested in people that have taken those vows, and I said, wow, this is a big challenge that we need to take up as believers, and then to help each other so that we can grow very well. So today I want to talk about one of the very important subjects or the vehicles that drives marriage, and that is non-verbal communication. I'll do well to mix the languages. So non-verbal communication. So when we say communication, what exactly is communication? So we start from there. So we say that communication in marriage is a process by which information is exchanged between individuals through a common system via symbols, signs, or body language. So that if we say communication in marriage, we are talking about exchange of information between partners, in this case, a man and a wife, through verbal, body languages, signs, and behaviors. Unfortunately, we have focused so much on the verbal, which we are used to, but we have not paid critical attention to the non-verbal aspect. Upon research into this area and aspect, I got informed that about more percentage, about 70% or more of the communication we do in marriages are rather non-verbal than verbal. And it is very, very important that we notice that the non-verbal aspect of the communication speaks a lot in our marriages. The non-verbal aspect speaks a lot. I once spoke to, and I asked the lady, if I say I love you with my face frown, how would you take it? And the lady answered and said, I won't take you serious. Then I asked, why? He said, well, you can't say I love you with your face frown. And so I asked, does it change the fact that I said I love you? He said, yes, you said it. But saying I love you with your face frown means that you either not mean what you say or you are saying what you don't mean. So in her expectation, she was expecting that once I'm going to say I love you, it should go with smiling. In fact, what the lady was telling me was that my verbal pronouncement is not corresponding with the actions. And that is what we do most of the times when we are verbally saying something else, but our body languages are giving out something else. So people look at us and then realize that there is something missing in the whole piece. we are saying something else and we are doing something else. You know, for most of the people that drive, usually they see road signs. And the road signs are supposed to give you a certain information so that you end up not crashing or doing something illegal. So the road sign, even though it is not verbally written, they are just symbols, you will notice that the road signs are giving you a certain instructions or are giving you a certain information that when followed will help you as a motorist. So the road signs we see are giving us a certain information. So when you see a certain symbol along the road sign, maybe a big H, it is telling you that there's a hospital close by. And therefore, when you are driving, drive well. Or you see cattle or something. In the same way, in our marriages, there are certain body languages that give certain information. And unfortunately, we have not been aware of those body languages. So today, we will take some time to look at those body languages and how they contribute to the marriage. For example, again, let me give a practical example. Assuming you were watching a television as the man, you are in your bedroom, then you see your wife wear a nightgown with a very wicked G-string. Your spouse or your wife is trying to convey a certain message to you that means that it is ready. But if you don't get the message, why she will be passing? Sometimes she will deliberately come to where you are as if she wants to do something and can pass there several times. It's just drawing your attention that I am trying to communicate something to you. And unfortunately, women do well with the verbal communication, that is the use of body signs and languages and expressions. The women do better than the men because we pay little attention to those things. So, for example, again, if you are in bed and then you think you have finished your job, you've had sex with your partner, then you see the woman again climbing on top to give you an indication or the message or that information that she's not satisfied. She wants more. No feel like or you are in the process and she's moaning and she's screaming. It means that she's actually enjoying it and therefore continue with that information. But if you can't decode that information, you might not know exactly what it means and therefore you will not do what is right. So women tend to give more of this non-verbal communication aspect of communication than the men. For example, when somebody comes from work and he's stressed out, you can actually look at the facial expression of that person and know that this person is tired. And therefore, that is not the time as a wife to engage the person in something that will generate a lot of quarrel. because the person is stressed out. It may not be the ideal time. Even though the issue you want to address with your husband will be genuine, you will notice that that is not the appropriate time to discuss that. So it is very important. It's very important that when we notice this non-verbal side of this communication, we mind stronger. So, for example, some of the non-verbal communication that we see in our marriages include our facial expression. Let me give an example again. When your spouse is talking to you and you are busily pressing your phone, you are telling your spouse that I am not ready for this conversation. Because eye contact when people are speaking to you is one of the crucial signs of the non-verbal communication that is very critical. When somebody is speaking to you and you can look at the person eyeball to eyeball, or you can look at the person's face, it means that, or it tells the other person that I am actually listening to you and my ears are attentive. But once the person is talking to you and you are watching television or you are pressing your phone, the person gets the idea that he has you have a divided attention, and therefore that person can speak to you. But we miss some of these small things and do not know. So if you have a very sensitive spouse, whether a man or a woman, what he or she will do is that he will cut the conversation because he knows that he does not have your full attention. And you are watching television, and the issue is very important to the person, you can either put the television off, or if what you are doing on your phone can wait, then you will allow it to wait, and then you listen to the person. When you pay attention whilst looking at the person's face, the person knows that, yes, what I'm saying to my spouse, he or she is listening. And so some of these petty things, which we easily ignore, have a lot of, or create a lot of problems in the marriages. So that anytime the person wants to talk to you, he thinks that you will not even listen to him, or non-eye contact when your spouse is speaking to you. Onu kakela ko mimbotwe be onyemo phone eno alo kwe TV boy increase volume o to kela ke no call me ehehia enti se wo yire ana wukunu epese oni wudi nkomo a enye sa amre no na obeka se umie mia phone obi a obeye sa de ni unkan kire ne se asem na o kan wuntie na emum woni e na kire ne se nia obeka no wadwin enhye de ni so wonhye dan ka sa enso woni ye no ama na adwin bi se ni obeka na hu hia sa enti wo beko so aye nia wo ye. So some of these little things. So the first one is facial expression when people are talking to you. When people are talking to you and you look at them directly in the face, it gives them an impression that you are listening to them and you are attentive to them. When somebody is speaking to you and you don't maintain the eye contact, or not looking at the person's face directly, it want to hear Jimmy. Ebi anipa ne okaso so there be me share when so me dem aso na etie na wani kire ba bi foforo e kire nipa ne say wonye krado sa no kanu utie ni esan se bibi foforo eje wadaje So you maintain an eye contact, and then you look of understanding that whatever that the person is saying, you are paying full attention to whatever that he or she is saying. And when people are talking to you and you cannot look at them right in the face, number two, it gives them an impression that you have something to hide. Ke onga alo owukebunvie no nyo okwe here directly a call like no ko yeni ota o ketele alo kentele. So we yere ana ukunu ni din komo na se won hwe nenima eye ne se udi bibi sie nu enti na wontumi hwe na ana udi bibi sie nu ana udi bibi esie nu enti na wontumi hwe nenim na esan sa wo hwe nenim sa anhwe ya na de kro no akodedi enti ehun hia pa se ye ne nkrofo kasa ye ma ye ni dom anim na bibia ye se eba ne se ye phone ana se TV na ye hwa se ebetumi edum TV na ye ndum se ebetumi aye se phone na ye betumi de ato se ne ye no enye ade ehia pa ehun be bi hia so ebia me frɛ asumesi ane etwen me frɛ asumesi me wiem ma na ye ni nkomo no ba emra nipa ne kasa wumie miafo ana wo hwe TV no ekire nipa ne se wonye krado se wo betie no enti enkrofonya sa entiase and people always get that impression that they are not being listened. So eye contact is very important. So eye contact is the first one. So that is the facial one. Look at the person eyeball to eyeball. It is not everything that people can voice out in marriage. In some of the things, they will display them by their actions. So for example, if somebody comes to you, or let me again raise this one. I can say, come here, and I can say, come here. They are the same words, but the tone of come here changes the whole complexity of the communication that I'm rendering. So come here is the same word. Come here is the same word. But you will notice that the second one has a higher tone. And therefore, because the tone is higher, tend to suggest more of a commanding tone. And when people are commanded in that kind of tone, sometimes they fail to respond. So note the tone of your voice and the volume of your voice when you are talking to your spouse, because it may send a different signal to the person, even though you may be saying something else. Ewa owie no kokolo shike owo gbe no wa ke wie na kan sane e chake your sane ewo ba bie ke ba bie wie mo no ni she ko me gbe ye mwen fi yo ni e ko me hu ye ble o no ni yo ble we chon me akeshi o akọ yin alo wie mo no wi o ehejo ewo maba chiko ke babie efi otumo ogbo mo akeshi eba ni shia na yo je soldier life ahie ye shia ngake wu ewe sani wie mo na ba wie fe ejo alo efe ble o koni shia anya ajo. So when somebody talks to you in a very loud tone, it tends to connotate something else. We most times notice this thing when we are angry. Sometimes we raise our voice. And once we raise our voice, it speaks certain things rather than the things that we are trying to communicate. So for example, again, you can say, I am sorry, with a smiling face. So I said, oh dear, I'm sorry. And you can also frown and say, I'm sorry. Even though in both cases you have said, I am sorry, with the first one, because your face is frowned, it tells your spouse that the sorry you said was not coming from your heart. Some even go to the extent and say, If you say I have offended you, then sorry. When you say it in that tone, you communicate to that person that what you are actually saying is not what exactly you mean, because your body action is giving a different signal. Enti say o kokase o meyere German car eyese wode esre kakra beta to sin say ube muna no akase eye fache me nipa no be hu say enfiri wakome mu na wo ka sorry no, but o kan o meyere fache me man sheda na meye ya sa ene a wode kasa ye ene sere kakra wode tua to no amanipa no adwen bi se nia wo ye na ampa wanu ho enti on fan chew na emum wode sa ene ne ka sa wo se mafom afache me e manipa no hu se wan kasa wonu ho esan se ono ka se wafom ninti ene na wode be che no. So people pick out these things whilst we are talking. Again, if somebody is talking to you, your spouse is talking to you, and then you are just turning your head and looking at other things, and then somebody call you, then you winkle at the person, somebody call, then you raise your hand, you are communicating to the person that whatever he's saying is not that important, and therefore can wait. All those things distracting your attention should come first. And therefore, some of these petty things we don't realize that contribute positively to the marriages are the very same things that cause a lot of havoc to the marriages. The Bible talks about in the book of Solomon that beware of the little foxes that destroys the vine. So it is not just saying, I am sorry, but your body language must also seem to communicate that you are sorry. So for example, if your wife comes home and she's stressed out and you can see from the face that she's stressed out, two things you can do. And just give a simple hug, or you can just tap on the person's shoulder gently, just to tell the person that I am identifying with you. I feel your stress. Sometimes you just hold their hand in those situations. It just communicate, even though you have not said any word, it just tells them that this person can identify with me on whatever that I am going through. And most time in us communicating with people verbally, it is the things that we don't say that tends to give us out. The things rather that we don't say, the frowning of the face, chuckling, all those things give a certain signal to people. And those things contribute to the non-verbal communication, because whilst you are talking to people, people are watching your body language. And if your body language does not correspond with your verbal utterances, then they cannot trust your speech because they see a disparity. That is why when I started, I said that when I told the lady that if I say I love you and I frowned my face, or I have frowned, the lady told me that it means that what I'm saying, my verbal utterance is not corresponding with my action, because she's expecting that when I said I love you, it should have accompanied with a smile, then the heart. So women don't talk a lot, but they tend to give a lot of clues in their non-verbal communication. So a woman may not call you for sex, just as it is typically in Ghana, or Yerebeka say, okunu ene de adomekon, enti yena. And so betumi aye ne bi a ekire wo say, ampa adonokon. Enti okoda no wa nice gown bi. Ahu say on hwehwe na se ya ne nam wanim saa no ope adensem bi akire wadi. One ma wadwe anko wa hu se sei no pese oka. Ema na wa kudo ndi omo be ka akire o se o ene de me kon ado. Enti ono so frɛ o match. But dodo na no ombe ye ne ebi ana otwema obetumi de ne nsa aso obema. O se opese ode adwen bi tu tirim. Na one ma wadwen anko ni ye na oye na hu se asem bi no pese o ka kire o. Esan se ye bi memu hanso no yeten hu ni se oba tai efre be ma se omom nim empam so agra na empre bebre no na oba na se nti ama ema no empre dodo na ya kan mo ahye ba ye wo ma kakra bi a mo de obefre aka che o se ene de e da lie nti ene de nya ija wo. So some of these petty things we should pick out, and it will make our marriages very successful. When we were a bit growing up, when you're in the midst of people and your mother or your father doesn't want other people to hear what you are saying, either let's take it that you are misbehaving, there is a certain eye that your mother or your father will winkle, and that gives you a certain message. It is either an approval or disapproval. So when they look at you in a certain way, it tells you whether to continue or not to continue. Enti se awofo no obu nani kire akora e wo nipa mu a on person nkrofo foforo te ne opese o ka kire akora no eni obebu a kire o no e kire o se adekura wo ye no jai ana to aso eye sa nneoma na koso nso ye ewo ya ware mu ewo obeni woda ke onyenta weke bo awie ye ma te ye ebanye ebebo hingbe ke bebo hingbe bene ba bebo hingbe chonbo akeshin be esano pano no fi o alo chano no fi na kan no ya no ye wogblan shihilemi ewo when we are in the marriage, we should pick certain things. I will go over them very quickly so that we know what to do. It is important to say the word I love you, I love you, I love you many times as you can. But it gets to a time that the I love you will lose. And it is important that from there, you will continue with expression of the love, not just I love you. You go back, I love you, January. So whilst it is important that you reaffirm the word I love you, those 3 words, every time that you have the opportunity, you will tell your spouse that I love you. It is very important. They know you love them, but it is important that you continue to repeat them in your. But there are times you need to go beyond just the saying and actually express that love. It could be in a form of a simple gift. It will be in the form of a simple gift that you give to your spouse. So express that love that you say. How do you express them? Sometimes you are just coming from town. A simple chocolate would do. You have not said the word I love you, but you are telling the person that I love you. There was one time, very funnily, I went to I'll say a female shop where they sell things about female underwears. Then I went there. Then I was looking at the bra, I was looking at the panties. I was going round. And it looked as if that was the first time that a male have entered a shop solely dedicated for women. And I was looking at it. I was seeing the G-strings, all those things. Kemi halami. Amen kwemi. Me naka amen, because it was a bit strange to them. And they were wondering, what is a man doing in a shop solely for women? This is one thing that men in Africa and in Ghana do not do. It is not the most expensive things that we do. It is the simple things that we do. For example, again, she cooks all the time. Maybe she will wash the dishes all the time. Some of the ways that we can express our love, instead of saying I love you, is that there are times you can just take over. Benny, if I but you have washed the dishes. But you have surprised her with a dinner or food. So it is very important that when we do these things, it all forms part of the non-verbal communication. Even though you may not have said the word that I love you, by just doing the chores that she's supposed to do, that she has ignored, so what she's supposed to do, you have done it for her. So some of this constitutes some of the non-verbal communication. So express the love through gift, through holding of hand, sometimes a peg on a cheek. All those things communicate something, not just to your spouse, but even people outside. Number two, one spouses. Again, the men are usually the culprit. We do not pay attention to the mood of our spouses, especially our wives. When you come home and notice that all of a sudden your wife is in a certain mood, obviously that should give you an information, even if she has not told you directly that no, there is something wrong. So we should watch out. Number two is that watch out. Number one, I've said that let's learn to express the love. It is good to say I love you as many times that you have the opportunity. But you can express the love by buying simple things, a chocolate. Sometimes go to the lady shop, buy some panties, bra. And before you do that, you must know your wife's bra size. Because for bono show of you. It's an old late sizes. You should know the size of your wife. So when you go, you are not going to struggle. You just go there, you pick what is it, and it's a surprise. Do the chores. When you know that she's supposed to do it, maybe she's supposed to wash the washroom or clean. By the time she comes back from town, you have done it neatly. You may not have said I love you, but it just communicates to her that, oh, I'm always ready to take some of the burden off your shoulder. And these little things that we do goes a long way. So no matter, I say, pay attention to each other's mood. When we are very careful, most at times when we are talking to people, we know when they are in a sad mood, when they are happy, or when something is stressing them. And you know that that is not the best time to engage them in a quarrel. So pay attention to each other's mood. Pay attention to each other's mood. There was one time I was talking to a wife, somebody, and I was this lady very well. I said, it look as if your husband doesn't know you. And she told me point blank that my husband doesn't know me one bit, even though they have 3 children. Because when she started narrating the issue to me, and I said that, but by the time you were talking to your husband should have seen the expression on your face. Unfortunately, some of us don't pay attention to those moods. There are people who can talk, they will never watch the faces of the other person they are talking to. They feel they just have to pour something. So they will keep on pouring. Whether you listen or not, they are saying it. But sometimes when you are talking to somebody, based on the expression on the person's face, you will know whether you should continue in that line of conversation or you should change the subject at all. So pay attention to each other's mood. Normal non-verbal communication. It is how we handle disagreement. And the words we utter and the ones we do not utter. It is very important for us to know no marriages or no marriage goes without disagreement very much. So you did not say anything, but she said something, got angry and banged the door, bam! You just communicated the message. But in your mind, I didn't say anything, I just banged the door. But obviously tell the person that you are very angry on what the person said. So even though you did not say anything, your gave the person that impression. Or the person said something, and then you raised your hand as if you want to hit the person. Yes, it is true, you didn't hit the person, but you have just communicated something to the person. That I can hit you if you dare me or if you push me to the wall. So when you are handling disagreement, the choice of words that you use are very important. And your reaction. Some get angry, they can even smash things. You put a certain fear into the opponent. You put a certain fear into your spouse, that when I get angry, I can do worse. So you put a certain fear. So the person decides whether I should even discuss something else or should not discuss this issue again, especially when the issue is very important. So learn how you handle disagreement and the body language you give when you are handling disagreement. So that's the example that I said. When you are sorry, let your sorry accompany with a smile. People will know that it is genuine. And maintain that eye contact when you are saying, I'm sorry. And watch the tone of your voice. When you are at fault and you need to apologize. So learn how to handle the disagreement. The choice of words and your actions are very important. So you don't say, I am sorry, and then still with your face frown. It means that you are still angry. You are just saying sorry because she wants to hear the word sorry. But when it goes with a smile, it puts the other person at ease that the person is genuinely sorry or feel remorse about that particular thing. Number 4 is that I've spoken about it, but let me mention it again. Surprise them from time to time. Surprise them from time to time. Like I said, it is not just the word I love you, which is very important. It is very important. Anytime you have the opportunity, you can say, you can just say, oh, sweetie, do you know I love you? Of course, she knows you love her. That's why you married her. She knows you love her. That's why you married her. But reaffirming the word tells the person that you love him. But it is important that you surprise your spouse from time to time. Dana hotumi song, one style song. Oh, maba. Where OJ style come here and watch missionary position. Because Uwonobu Okeja Banu Bachuno ya. I mean, let it be said, it is important that you surprise them from time to time. Don't tell them. Just one day say, today we are not cooking. We are going out to go and eat. Meaning, no, you don't need to go to an expensive restaurant. You can just go to a simple restaurant. No. At least you change the environment and you surprise them. It just tells them that, oh, mene ehama honi ene wa mama nweduane na emum o yisa anke duane nua no a de obrebe breme no say yenko abontini yenko didi. So surprise them from time to time. When you see something nice in town, buy it. All those things contribute to the non-verbal aspect of the communication that enhances our marriages. So there are little things that we do. I'm sure that I will not be surprised if they ask a lot of men that what size of bra does their wife wear. Maybe one day we'll conduct that search on this platform and we'll see. I can tell you that a lot of people don't know the bra size their spouses, I mean their wives wear. And once you don't know it, you cannot even go to town that you want to buy. Or else when you get there, it's an okay wife money. But if you just know the bra size your wife wear, you just go there, you pick what you want. So it is very, very important that you surprise them from time to time. That is why it is called a surprise. You don't get to do them every day. One time you just take the entire family out. The way the pressure is in this part of our world, going out as a family is very, very rare. Church members in Blabo and even Blabo. It will be and now software piake they are even unromantic because church members as an and they care less about their wife. It is not the case. But from time to time, it is important that even if it's important that you all put your phones off and have an honest conversation about how far the marriage go. So that your phone's off, no television. Yeah, now, let's look at our face. Let's have an honest conversation. Let's have a discussion. And all those things, petty as they are, you may not look at it as very important or very significant, but they are things that contribute to the marriage a lot. Like I said, men are usually guilty in the non-verbal side of the communication. That is why a woman can easily pick out and tell you, the husband, that I think this lady is interested in you. The other lady might not be saying that to you, but the lady or your wife can easily pick out certain behaviors, signs, and body languages and tell you that by the behavior of this lady, I think she's interested in you. But men, as we are, so dan and you read meaning into some of these things. Believe you me, you only get to know at the far end that what your wife was saying was actually true, because they get so much. They read body languages very fast. They read body languages very fast. So this little aspect of the non-verbal aspect of the communication is very important and enhance our marriages. So I said that it is not just what we say in communication, but it is also about the gestures, the postures, our facial expressions, our eye contact, all those things tend to give out messages which we are not aware that we are giving out messages. We think that only what we have said verbally counts. But you will notice that what our actions portray gave the other person more information than what we actually said. So it is actually the things we don't see, but the things we act. And that tells the person. So whilst you are talking to your spouse, or whilst you are talking to others, they are watching your body language. They are watching your body language. So if your body language does not correspond, believe you me, they will say that you don't mean what you are saying. And sometimes, unfortunately, we carry our singing, I love you with the love of the Lord. They are saying it to others when they are saying that, oh, we should welcome people. And their face are frown. How can you say I love you and your face is frown? The two doesn't just work. So whilst your mouth is saying it, your facial expression is saying something else. And so, very important for us to watch the non-verbal side of the communication. So surprise them from time to time. Surprise them from time to time. The Bible says that what? The little foxes that destroys the vine. So you may say thank you after sex, which we don't usually do. But you can also surprise them with a gift. I've just over-mentioned the word chocolate. It is not every woman that likes sweets anyway. But what is important is that we get to know our spouse. We get to know them. Sometimes we live with people and it's as if we don't know them at all. And depending on the temperament, and then you have the two introvert, that is the phlegmatic, and then you have the melancholy. And so the two extrovert, that is the sanguine, and then the cholerics, they are always the fun-having types. So always they want to be seen out there. And so they are very loud and the rest. So they are always out there. But the two introvert, they are mostly reserved people. And therefore, you must know that point is that we have not studied to know our spouse very well. And therefore, we run into certain problems that we are not supposed to run into. There are supposed to be things that we are supposed to pick up, but certain things happens and you realize that the way you claim to know your spouse, you don't know your spouse that well at all. To our spouses, if we are very attentive to our spouses, we will pick some of these little things that enhances marriage, and when their absence as well also destroys marriage. So the non-verbal aspect of the communication is very, very important. Whilst we talk, our body languages are very, very important. They give a lot of information that we do not take notice of, but very important. It is said that eyes are windows to the soul. So when somebody wants to reach your soul, he wants you to look at the face and maintain that eye contact. So when you are speaking or you are saying, I love you, it is not a matter of shyness. I love you. And you are looking eyeball to eyeball. As one pastor will say, look at his face, eyeball to eyeball. it means that you are actually reaching the soul of the person. Don't just say, I love you. And then you have a certain facial expression. You'll be communicating two messages. Even though verbally you are saying what, in terms of your actions, you are saying something different. And women pay particular attention to our body language anytime that we are communicating. Unfortunately, it is the men who don't give. I have seen several, whilst the wife is talking, he's either WhatsApping or watching news. And sometimes I have been a culprit myself. Whilst my wife was talking, I think I was WhatsApping. And then she asked, can I talk? I said, oh, I'm listening. But she knew, I think she realized that I wasn't listening because I've been engaged by the phone by what I'm saying until I decided to put the phone down. Then she knew that I had her full attention and now she could talk. The time I realized was that now she has stopped talking. I said, go on, I was listening. But by my action, by doing the WhatsApp at that point in time, I just gave out a message to her that I wasn't listening to her. And so till I put the phone down, then she decided that, and sometimes women like to be listening to. A man told me that women, a wonderful group of people who have 80% of their problem. It is not what you say. Sometimes they can even tell you, and you even ask them, so what do you think about it? Or what do you have in mind? You'll be amazed. She will give you all the answers to the same problems that she just narrated. And then you ask yourself, so why was she telling you in the first place if she has the answers to them? Then you notice that she just needed somebody to listen, not to even contribute or talk, just the act of listening. And that while she's talking, she has your full attention to listen to them. A lot of people have lost their spouses because they felt their spouses never listened to them, especially women, because they felt that whilst they were talking to them, they were busy doing something. So if she gets somebody whilst he's talking to the person, he has the person's full attention. The person has muted the phone, done all those things. He said, this person thinks about me. It is not the case that the husband doesn't think about her, but the husband has communicated a message telling her that I don't have time for you, by just doing something else while she's talking to him. So you see, the things we don't say give a lot of information out. The things we say. So maintain eye contact. When you're seeing a few just come away. And there are times when you see what have been won on bed, it should just give you the message that it's a no-go area. You have not been invited. So those little things gives us or spice the marriage, and unfortunately, there are those things that we have taken for granted because we are so much looking at the verbal side than the non-verbal side of the equation. I don't know if at this point that anybody have a question to ask. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
If anyone has any question, please you can ask if you have a question. Question at this moment. Any question? Yeah. If you have a question, you can unmute your mic and then ask the question. Yes, Emma.
Okay, so I just want to add something small. I'm just saying that, for instance, when you said sometimes you should look at the expression on our spouse's face. Sometimes they are tired from work. So you don't need to stress them with maybe something that happens, maybe something that is worrying you too. You should also be considerate. I just want to add that sometimes you can just realize that he's so tense or he's so tired, or him or her feel that you are with him, especially if it had not been communicated, but you can see from the expression that going through something. You can just not use also talking, but you can just put your arms around him, or you just tell him that it is well, or cuddle him small, or him or her. And then after the person has relaxed, you can come in with whatever you would want to ask, because sometimes we, the women, we may need something, and by virtue of what may be going on with our spouse, that material moment that we need that thing, we may not be able to put it through, but if we are able to put him out of his stress, going through emotionally, we can now push in our petition. Thank you.
Yes, it is true. I think I mentioned it. Maybe a tap on a soldier, yes, showing that, oh, I identify with what you are going through. It's very important. That's a powerful contribution. A question.
Yes, I have some question in the chat box, and the question is, can body language be deceptive and misleading?
Okay, so
can body language be deceptive
and
misleading?
Deceptive. So can it be deceptive? Okay, so that's the question. Yes, it can. It can. But it is important that usually people can easily lie their way out verbally, but sometimes it is rather their body language that that gives them out. It can. Only if you don't know your spouse very well as well, because we don't get to know each other very well. For example, I have asked my wife before, so in a certain mood, when you are in that kind of day, what is the best thing that genuinely she had told me some of them and said that you can do A, B, C, D, maybe you can do A, you can do B, you can do C.